Hey everybody, it's Caleb. This was originally recorded about 2 weeks ago. It was released on our Patreon. This last weekend was my birthday weekend, so I was out of town, and June's been in New York doing some things too. So we thought we would unlock this for you guys while we catch up. We have a bunch of episodes to get caught up on this week, but frankly, I like this episode so much anyway that I knew that when we recorded this, I would release it anyway. So I figured I'd just do this now while it's still recent. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to releasing some new stuff for you real soon. Welcome back to Kill the Computer. My name is Caleb. As every week, I'm joined by my co-host, June. How are you?
I'm not bad. I was reminded recently that Alan Dershowitz said that if Zoran Mamdani became the mayor of New York, that he would blow his brains out on live TV. He hasn't done it yet. It's kind of, it's a shame. I'm really hoping that he picks up on that promise.
We can, should, and must hold him accountable.
I don't like when public figures in politics lie. I think we have to hold them to a higher account than what we've been seeing. That's been on my mind recently.
Yeah, I'll have to give him another FaceTime call and see how he's doing.
Absolutely. We'll catch up with him. We'll see what he's up to.
Yeah. We have a really special guest today. I have cited her work on this show more than once. And we were just talking about this before we started recording that, like, this is the subject that we're talking to is kind of like the clip farm economy. And this is something that actually a couple of you guys had emailed us about. June, do you remember the YouTube, the creator's name whose video we were talking about earlier? So one of you guys had emailed us that video a couple weeks back, and we kind of were thinking about covering this. And then Sato, senior reporter at The Verge, just wrote this article. It was like perfect timing because I've wanted to have you on for a while.
Yeah, it was the guy on YouTube was Devin Nash. That sort of was like, oh wow, it sort of was like my first exposure to this like economy that Mia you wrote about.
Yeah. Actually, with me, it was the article that you had written about how like on prediction markets, how they'll kind of like make these fake narratives of like there's an insider trade going on or whatever. That's like kind of just its own scam with it, like a Russian nesting doll of like scams happening, which is really awesome that everything is just that, some sort of meta scam within a scam now. And it's kind of what we're talking about today, just in a different way.
Yeah, it's, a lot of just like paid content everywhere in a really weird way. And it's getting harder and harder to identify, which I think is why like I'm drawn to these kind of strange corners where people are like pumping out content for money. Great job. That's out there.
It's sort of like the corollary to a lot of internet activity is just bots and bot accounts. This is sort of really adjacent to a lot of the bot activity, how sort of fake and maybe not fake, but constructed everything is. We like to imagine like everything we see in front of us is natural, and it's like, oh, we saw this because we like this stuff, but it's like, well, that's not really what's happening exactly.
No, it's not. In fact, the kind of through line that we're trying to push in the next few months of the show as we'll go on is, the structures of these platforms, algorithms and such. They kind of predetermine what you see to such a degree that like it's more important than the content itself. And what I mean by that is I was reading this article for the UAP episode that we're about to do with Ken Clip that like, the whole they're not aliens, they're demons. Like there's somebody who a research student at Penn State wrote this paper about how like the demon aspect of this specifically was rewarded like super high on TikTok and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, I think that is to the point now where like people are exploiting these kinds of holes because they know that this stuff exists and will be rewarded. And that's like, a guy like Clavicular, who we're going to talk about today, is like kind of a symptom. He's like the black spot on the radar of this whole thing, kind of. So, Mia, why don't you take us through your article? Give us kind of the summary and what brought this on your radar?
I'm sorry, I'm going to say clavicular right away.
He was the clipping ground zero. Yeah.
He was patient zero. He was the virus on the ship.
He was the Dutch bird watcher who went to the garbage pile.
Right. I'll say like with a caveat that I don't think it's only because of this that clavicular got where he is today, but a big part of it is because you probably saw a clip of him doing something kind of stupid or weird or just sort of strange with like a weird caption that didn't sound like English. The ASU frat leader, right?
Yeah.
Which is like not a title that exists to my knowledge in Greek life. Like frat leader is not a title. But anyway, so like, you know, lots of us saw and found out about Clavicular because we saw a short clip of him from one of his live streams. And what I didn't realize was that the live streams are super boring. And so I started just like hanging out in them and watching them. And I was kind of like,
sorry.
Yeah, it was very strange. But that's where I kind of got the idea for the story, which was like, okay, if we're seeing all these clips and they're coming from a longer thing, but relatively few people are watching the longer thing, and also the longer thing is way worse, why make the longer thing in the first place? Why not just clip everything to hell? And that's kind of what Clavicular's team did. And granted, like he had like a PR person who reps a bunch of other like famous podcasters. So he had plenty of help through like traditional media avenues, but the clips were really like his claim to fame. And so I just wanted to understand like why this is happening, how it's happening, the economics of it. I'm always interested in like the money aspect, and there's a lot of money here. And like, you know, is it hard to be a clipper? Is it like, what are the rules around it? And yeah, it kind of took me down a bunch of rabbit holes that were fascinating and bizarre.
I want to come back to Clavicular, but before we get there, can you explain to maybe some of our listeners who aren't as poisoned as we are, what is a clipper for all the people who have jobs out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't use social media that listen to us, which
interesting.
Deeply
Why?
respect that.
I don't
Because
know.
we
I have
torture
no idea.
ourselves. We torture ourselves with the knowledge to distill it to them.
Vicarious
Yeah.
suffering.
Love it. Okay, well, for all the masochists out there, clippers are like, they run anonymous social media accounts. So it's not like, you know, Aaron Rupar posting clips of Trump talking. These are like semi-anonymous accounts that are only making like posting short clips of someone else's content. So it's like, you know, like maybe they were clipping like Charlie Kirk or, you know, Tucker Carlson or another podcast like Joe Rogan, but they're making short videos from longer content. And the videos often they're like never transformative. They're never adding anything. It's always like a black border around a podcast clip. And then the caption will be like, bro, I can't believe he said this. Or like, no way, bro, just said this. Or, you know, like sounds like a 12-year-old boy wrote the caption. And then it'll have a bunch of
basically
hashtags.
be like quote tweet reacted to. Yeah,
exactly. Or like things that are very like you kind of set up the conversation in the video you're posting, but like don't add anything to it. It's very boring. It's really like boring content. And I think in the story I described it kind of as like the cartilage of your For You feed, because it feels very like connective. It's a connective tissue going from one video to another. You've probably seen a million of them. What you might not know is that someone was paid to post it, right? And that's like the weird part.
These pop up when I'm trying to watch that 1993 movie Powder in like 53 parts on my TikTok or whatever. Yeah. Or like, you know what we used to have, and there was some honor system in this with the like the Reddit stories where there was like those insane, you know, mobile games or whatever. There was footage of like jumping and collecting coins over like somebody's worst breakup of their life or whatever.
Yeah.
At least
exactly.
those were somewhat transformative in the sense that there was something else to look. This is just no transformation whatsoever. Yeah,
it's just pumping it out. It's not like the kids posting Minecraft videos, which I do think kind of require something. But yeah, these clipping accounts, like, they kind of just pop up and disappear and videos get taken down. But, you know, some people I think are at least making kind of real money, which is the weirder part, that brands are like paying anonymous people somewhere in the world to promote their stuff. Like it's a really weird economy that has just like kind of sprung up really quickly.
I feel like it's been such a shift from like early YouTube and early social media too, where back in the day, Like if you were to just like repost someone's content, barely transform it, that was sort of like a fairly big deal. Like even if you were just like showcasing some of it, like I feel like there was a period, a couple, like maybe a while ago now, but where that became sort of the meta. I think people realized like if people are barely changing anything or even reacting to it, because like React content was huge for a long time, and that like helped channels blow up. But like just doing this and having everyone in replies or quote tweets or wherever react to it just sort of blows it up even more, because it's every single person's individual take on that rather than like the one person doing at least some sort of transformative content with it.
Yeah, it's all like really, really tailored to get views. So like the other thing is the accounts who are posting these videos, they get paid based on how many views they rack up. It doesn't matter about like comments or engagement. Like that's not really a thing. It's strictly views based. And so the rates that you can earn are like anywhere from like maybe 50 cents to like $2 per 1,000 views is usually how it's measured. So you'll go on these clipping websites if you are like a teen wanting to make money, and there will be like jobs for you. Basically, it's like a Fiverr, like an Upwork for clipping content. And every brand has like a certain rate, and then you make the videos, post them, and if they're approved, then you're eligible to just like make money based on how many views that you get. And so it's really like the most, I kind of described it as like going viral by brute force, rather than just like trying to recreate the algorithm or figure out what the algorithm likes. You just post a bunch of shit. And if it doesn't get any views, well, whatever. But if it does, you might stand to make a bunch of money from like this one video of you just, adding a caption, basically.
I mean, that's sort of like the thing, though, is if like some of these people like Clavicular, like there's a lot of people, there are websites where you can basically contract out a lot of clippers, like hundreds and hundreds, up to like thousands in some cases, where like I think brute forcing the algorithm is like the best way to put it, because I mean, that's the way algorithms work. If more people are all talking about one thing or one person in a similar way, like same topic, similar way, it will sort of just assume that topic is really important and distill that to more people. So it like literally brute forcing the algorithm open with like a fucking a crowbar, essentially.
Yeah.
One of the examples that you used in this article, Mia, I thought was very interesting, was friend of the show, Dan Bongino. He had licensed one of these or used one of these services. I don't know how you want to say it, but he also at the same time purchased or rented rather a billboard in Times Square. Was it?
Yes.
What I tried to find out before we recorded and I failed, so I apologize. Do you know cost wise what the difference was between the two expenditures?
That's a great question. I have no idea what it costs to rent a billboard in Times Square, but if anyone knows, please let me know.
Please
hit my line. Yeah, I would love to know.
I would imagine it's far more than he spent on the clipping.
Yeah, if I mean,
he's got that Epstein money. Like he can afford that.
Allegedly. Don't kill us.
If I recall correctly, I think the campaign for the Dan Bongino show for his return was, I think maybe like $2,000. Yeah, I think the budget was like $2,000.
His budget was $2,000.
That's cheap for someone that's that wealthy already and well known. That's like fucking like pennies for someone like him.
Well, it probably worked better than the billboard is kind of what I was getting at. I mean, like, billboards are infamously, a retired advertising pervert, or like infamously print media is really hard to kind of gauge the metrics on and stuff unless you're doing a specific kind of campaign or whatever. I would imagine bang for your buck wise. I mean, especially, not for nothing, New York City, I don't know how much interest the Dan Bongino podcast is going to generate there. You might have better luck somewhere in the suburbs or upstate or Long Island or something. I don't know. But I don't know. It's interesting to see that he do you know how much he generated views wise for that $2,000?
It's a little hard to tell. The platform that he hired to do it didn't have like total views, but I came across a lot of clips that appeared to be part of the campaign. I should say that the Dan Bongino show did not respond to my request for comment, but like I think the difference between the Times Square billboard and the Clippers is that for the Times Square billboard, he's paying a flat rate no matter how many people see it. For the Clippers, he pays only for what he gets exactly. So if you set a budget of $2,000, you know, let's say, just to make math, actually, I'm really bad at math, but let's say like the rate you've set is $2 per 1,000 views. You spend that money until you get the max number of views. It's like the clipping economy is weird for social media users, but I also like weirdly worry a lot about video editing as a profession because it basically makes everyone into performance-based freelancers. Like instead of getting $100 to edit this video, you edit the video, post it, and only make the $100 if you get the views, right? So like it's really, I mean, for a brand, it's incredibly cheap, and they probably like it a lot, right? You get to say you got millions of views. So it's a really weird environment.
I never realized, like going back 10 years ago, I would have never guessed the gig economy would have gotten this bad, this fucking dire for people who are creative, to where it is like you're not even getting paid like upfront. It's like they're holding it over like the ASU fucking, like you have to be creative. You have to do like weird captions to be like, what the fuck am I reading? What is this? Wow. And then the clip is just like two guys standing there, but it's like the caption that like captures people's attention.
Yeah. Some tech CEO described the Clippers as like you reach out to them and ask them to do a thing, and like 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes because they're all, his words, hungry Slovakian teenagers, right? Like it's a pretty
very grim.
Like you imagine being a professional competing with like teenagers somewhere. It's really bizarre.
Do you know how much, so in terms of the amount of people that are Clippers and like how many of these campaigns, like percentage, if you happen to know this, actually fulfill that payment like view payment requirement? Is it I imagine it's fairly low across the board.
I think that I would have to, go back and ask some of these platforms, but generally what I saw were like there's like a completion bar on the campaigns, and it's like we've paid out 25% of the money that we have from the brand, right? And so there's literally a progress bar, and I think that the campaigns go until the money's out. But you could post a video and it gets no views, and then you get $0, right? And like some of the campaigns have like, you need a maximum of 10,000 views for us to start paying you out, which is also really shitty for the Clippers.
Yeah.
But you could be competing against like hundreds or thousands of other Clippers. It's all based on performance. So just because you clip a video doesn't even mean that you get anything, really.
Brutal. I have noticed that a lot of this, and I don't think that correct me if I'm wrong, Mia. I've read a lot about this. It wasn't just your article. So if you did talk about this, correct me. But I seem to remember in that YouTube video and some other things I've heard about this, that Kick is also directly funding some of the stuff, especially for some of the more right-wing creators. Is that something that you found?
Yeah, I believe Kick is pretty much bankrolling Clavicular's entire clipping
Totally.
campaign. And that's another reason why I'm hesitant to say like clipping made Clavicular famous, because he also had a whole platform behind him. Like Kick, if you notice in the clips of Clavicular, Kick's logo is in every single one of them. That is often a requirement of the clip. You have to have the Kick logo in your video to get paid. So like and there aren't that many, social platforms that I think would do that with a clipper or like with a clipping campaign. But the company that does the Clavicular clipping is like really weirdly integrated into Kick and Stake, which is like the gambling arm of that company. So yeah, Clavicular, I mean, part of the reason he got huge was because there was thousands of dollars being paid on his behalf to clip content of his streams. And I mean, Stake and Kick are a really weird set of companies already. There's a really great Bloomberg investigation into the two that I highly recommend to everyone. But, they operate kind of as one thing, but then they have like the gambling side of it, but then they'll have streamers who gamble exclusively on Stake while streaming on Kick.
Jesus
and
Christ.
you know, one of those people is Drake. Like, it's not just far right sort of random people. Like, one of them is one of the most popular recording artists of our age. So it's a real weird company.
This is not in your article, and it's only semi-adjacent, but I just was curious if you had seen if there's direct involvement of this. The guy that's just been on my radar recently is that Chud the Builder. Do either of you know who this awful,
I do.
disgusting
He's awful.
guy is?
I
Yeah.
don't
he's
think
the
I know
fucking-
him.
Like he basically goes around being the most racist guy you've ever seen.
He's
Essentially,
like a nuisance streamer who will, he'll just go and say slurs to people, and if they get mad, he'll either pepper spray them or threaten them with a gun. And
Oh,
the cops have been involved multiple times with this guy, and every time he does this, it's the same thing. The Kick, I'm looking at his page right now, kick.com/shutthebuilder, and all of his ones, or some of these other Kick related type websites. And it's like, okay, I just don't know, like, I'm just dumb. I know Kick isn't some moral bastion, but like, just from a liability fucking perspective, like, this guy is going out there and threatening people with firearms and pepper spraying them. And I do believe, for the record, not all of this, but some of this stuff, like he's in a feud with some other guy. They're just another awful guy. I think some of this is staged for, pro wrestling type things. But like, a lot of this stuff is very real. And I just have to wonder, what is Kick's liability and involvement in here? And I just, to what extent does this stuff need to be? I guess what I'm asking is, like, classifications for advertisements are a big thing, and I'm wondering what you saw in your research for this, for not just Clippers but for the platforms themselves. That was a part of it. This is all supposed to be regulated, and it's just not.
yeah. The disclosure requirements are like really not being met in a lot of cases. I'll give you an example. Like, one of the platform that works with Click. Oh my God, all of these companies sound the same. The clipping company that works with Kick also had a campaign for a Republican congressional candidate in Florida. And I looked at his, and I reached out to his campaign for comment. They didn't respond. But I looked at the brief that was added to the website for this clipping campaign. There's no requirement for the required FTC disclosures. Like, none of this shit says it's an ad or that it's paid or sponsored. There were requirements like, you must not clip me saying negative things about Donald Trump, but you can make AI clips of me. That's fine. Like,
Jesus
it's really,
Christ.
really strange. But so, like, I think a big problem and a big reason why, like, none of the brands wanted to talk to me for the story is because they don't want to be associated with a bunch of content that is potentially running afoul of FTC guidelines. Like, a lot of this stuff is not posted as sponsored. Like, none of the Clippicular clips obviously are like disclosed or hashtagged as an ad. There are some clipping platforms that do a better job of it, where like Mr. Beast has a clipping platform.
We're gonna go there. Of course, he was the nice boy about it.
Yeah, like all the campaigns I saw on that site did have explicit disclosure requirements. Like, you can't make money from this unless you have these hashtags, which is a step up for sure. But I still think a lot of people have seen these clips probably without realizing they were ads. And that is really, like, I think where it starts to feel kind of icky.
I mean, they can certainly get away with it. The FTC is not really going to do too much. I mean, it's like fucking gutted.
Yeah.
The people in charge are not going to do anything, especially for these like right-wing adjacent platforms, I'm sure. I mean, like the way that Donald Trump's whole family is connected to like Polymarket and Kalshi, which have had like a growing presence of paid sponsorships and posts and media, like on Twitter and like some other social media. I'm sure you guys have noticed that pretty much everywhere. It's been like everywhere. Even people I know are like taking these deals with like all of these like gambling adjacent and prediction market websites.
Yeah, totally.
Super disappointing. There's still a ton of ground to cover here, Mia, but before we get too far away from this, what, aside from the stuff that is probably, if not obviously, scripted. For instance, when Clavicular quote unquote ran the guy over, or when he shot the alligator, which is already dead, stuff like that. Possibly anyway. What is a Clavicular stream like? What is he doing? What is what does that do to your soul to watch this? Tell me about your experience there.
So before you answer, because you've probably watched a lot more, can I predict what it's going to be? Because I've watched like maybe like just like a little bit more than what I've seen on his feed, like on my feeds.
Yes, please, please.
So my guess, so obviously we see the clips of him like like those really viral ones and like the interviews he's done recently, but I feel like he just sits around with his like weird friends mostly and talk about like different stacks. He and his friends call like the drugs that they do stacks, like they stack them up or whatever, and it's like just standing around and looking at people and like looking at each other is like 90% of the stream, I think.
I would say you're probably right. Like so to give you context, I think starting in March, maybe Clavicular claimed he was going to stream nonstop for 30 days. It was called like 30-day MOG something like
Jesus.
I can't remember. Like it's MOG marathon, like something like that. And the idea was that he would be live on Kick 24/7 for 30 days. So I was like dropping in at random times during the day. And eventually I started to hit times where he's not on the stream. He has literally like people to fill in for him, like guest hosts of the stream.
that's not correct. He's getting around his fucking stream thing. That's cheating. The fucking
I feel like
cheating.
that wasn't
I expected
fair.
better from you, Clavicular.
Yeah, don't go to sleep or show him sleeping.
Exactly. I thought there was going to be someone following him around 24/7 and they have the camera on them and they're just filming him. But sometimes, like for hours at a time, it would just be two strangers to me, like people who are not Clavicular, sitting in his house, just talking on the stream. And there would be maybe like, 2,000 people watching, which is still kind of a lot. But I was like, this is not like, it's not like a AOC Instagram live stream or whatever. But yeah,
I mean, you would expect more viewers for someone of that fame, like of like the supposed fame. I mean, like,
and that's that's kind of why I was like, I want to write about the clips as the actual product, because I don't think that many people are watching the streams. But yeah, they mostly do like sit around. They like to walk around. They like to go out in public and kind of wander, try to approach people, often like women. And then what gets clipped in the videos that people see are like him saying something weird to like a woman, or like, approaching and being rebuffed, or, fighting with a girl or something. They often also like end up at his house or like his complex. I don't even know where he lives, but they're all just like
Florida.
drinking and being, drinking and being kind of loud and fighting and getting into arguments. And some of it is clearly scripted, and others it's just him kind of like existing. But yeah, it's not that entertaining. The clips are way better.
And absolutely they are. And that's, I've sort of been thinking about that a lot, like digging into this like clip economy, I guess, that we're sort of in these days in social media, because like obviously we do this show. I do another show. I work for The Onion. I do my whole life at this point in terms of work is like creative work. It's a lot of creative writing, whatever, all that sort of like good stuff. And I think about like the final product is like the full thing. I'm very happy if people listen to the full thing that we put together. It's so gratifying, and it feels great to see that. And like if something from any of this goes viral on its own, that's like a great little reward. That's like a nice little treat on top. But it's thinking about in terms of their like mindset, it seems like they sort of operate entirely on the short clips going viral, and that's sort of like a weird inversion of like the creative process for me.
Yeah,
because that's like, I mean, that's like the benefit, or that's like a cool thing if you really like fucking nail something. That's not like the goal necessarily, at least for me when I'm thinking about like creating something.
They're taking the honor out of podcasting, dude.
Yeah. A famously honorable thing.
I mean,
but I think
say what you will, but like, we've talked about this a couple times now, but like Knowledge Fight broke up after 10 years and people were legitimately upset about it, because there are people that had spent the better part of a decade listening to these guys. Even if it wasn't necessarily about Alex Jones, it's just they'd come to like care about and trust these people. I know there's like the parasocial angle of all that, but like that is the part of the podcast that like is fun. There's a community aspect or like the inside jokes. Even in our community, they love the Jazz Wolf stuff. The Jazz Wolf merch is selling better than our normal stuff just because of a dumb inside joke because of whatever that you have exposure to a podcast. Taking that up and doing the inverse of that is just so bizarre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it makes sense
like,
for like the business model that it seems like people like Clavicular have. Because doesn't he has like some weird programs that he sells people into, like his like LooksMax like program. Am I making that up? He has like a couple $100 thing that you can purchase or whatever. So it's like maximum exposure. Like the view count on his streams is like
teaches you how to correctly hit yourself in the face with a hammer.
Yeah, it's like the selling the fucking snake oil ads. Like at the end of the day, for a lot of these people, it's always that sort of thing. It's to sell like desperate people on some bullshit.
Yeah, it's also from a creative standpoint. Like I think a lot of the shows or types of content that run on clips, you really wonder like what is your backup plan? You know, because my thing, like, you would be surprised at how there are some really big, recognizable household names that are doing clipping and hiring people to clip. And I kind of wonder what you think you gain. And this is like, goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but on a social internet where the content isn't real, the views are botted, the comments are spam, what are you measuring to tell if you're doing a good job? What are you measuring to see if you are successfully reaching people? And I think a lot of brands think views are one of the big metrics, and clip economy depends on views being the metric for success. But I have yet to see proof that this type of content converts anyone. I'm sorry to use like marketing terminology, but like,
no, of course.
Right, if clips are the top of the funnel, the wide part that lots of people see, you need a way, if you want to like develop fans or develop, customers, you need to push them down the funnel. You need like the viewers to become followers, to become subscribers, to become live event attendees, right? Like that is sort of the flow. And the clips are really good at getting views, but what beyond that is it doing? And so like, I just really wonder what the game plan is, for someone like Clavicular who's like, I'm going to clip my way to success. Like, what will you be doing when there's a new person on the block getting clipped, being paid, the clips are being paid for by Kick? Like, I don't know. It just feels very
he's going to get
short-sighted.
Out-mogged. Like someone will out-mog him. Yeah.
Someone will mog the mogger. Like that will happen. In fact, it's already happened.
Yeah.
And people only have so much of an appetite. So I just really wonder like if your entire business model is based on like, we're going to grab the juiciest bits of our podcast and put it on social media for free. You're not making any money from that.
The perfect example of this, I think, from your article, Mia, that just I still don't understand why the hell this happened was, I can't remember the name of the podcast. Please help me out here. But it was the one that OpenAI bought. That they're not even going to be doing advertising.
See, no one knows what the fuck it is.
Yes.
TBPN, yes.
And how much did they pay for that?
I think we don't know the actual number, but I think what we know is like low hundreds of millions, right? Maybe like 100 to 300 million, something like that.
That's got to just be like money laundering or a cruel joke or somebody lost a bet. I just don't understand. This economy makes no sense to me. I just don't understand that one at all.
Like
I think that was, I don't know. The OpenAI thing is weird. I think part of it was like, the OpenAI wants good press of any sort. And like, it was really crazy that they bought that show. And I don't know, I think they want to use it as like a marketing vehicle, which makes sense. But will it work? That's a different question.
Yeah. I think like for people like Clavicular, I always am curious, like what the like long-term benefit is. I mean, like, say what you will about Clavicular, but like most people know who he is at this point. So like, I guess that worked. He got to go on like news interviews, like CBS. He did like the 60 Minutes thing and all that. But like, I guess the interesting thing about like the clip economy, more like just beyond the like basic weird like like sort of fascist adjacent influencers like Clivicular is like how it can be used by people like Tucker Carlson. I don't know if he is in on this specifically, but I think just knowing that this mechanism exists and can be used in this way and can sort of brute force narratives and like clips and like sound bites in that way is like really fascinating and has really changed the way I feel like I've already been like very skeptical of social media, especially like places like Twitter and like algorithmic feeds and all of that. But like ever since digging into this, it's like literally everything I see is like a product of possibly a product of these like very intentional botting and clipping farms to try to like insert a narrative, insert an idea of someone into the popular consciousness.
Yeah, I think where it gets dangerous, like with the Tucker Carlson example, is like you don't even have to pay not bot farms, but like clipping farms to clip your shit because I'm sorry, I'm part of the media, but like the mainstream media will do it for you. The sort of engagement farming social media accounts will do it for you. The political sort of aggregator accounts will do it for you. So like the Tucker Carlson thing, there was a clip of him going viral that I haven't seen any evidence that he used a clip farm, but the clip was him saying that he, regretted so much helping to get Donald Trump elected. And it was from his podcast, and it was like, maybe a minute long clip. And that's what got a lot of views. But when you go back and watch the episode, this is not like a reformed man, and I think
he's a more dangerous man, if anything.
Because he knows how to get views. The same thing, honestly, with Candace Owens, who I believe up until recently shared the same manager with Clivicular before Clivicular's manager dropped him, which is really, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But, like Candace Owens was getting a lot of views talking about Israel or talking about Blake Lively, weirdly. So they find they very much know how to seed those moments in their episodes. Those will get clipped. Those will be the ones that travel. Those will be the ones that get shared to family group chats, being like, damn, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Tucker Carlson when, you're getting played. And that is kind of like the other side of the clipping coin, where you don't even have to pay people to do it because the internet runs on this content already.
The infrastructure does. So one of the things I've talked about this a little bit on this show, but every now and then I have an old iPhone that I sometimes use for experiments, and I'll wipe the device, new email, new everything, and then install Instagram or TikTok or whatever just to see what it shows me. And it's as close to porn or sometimes actual porn that they can get, and like Tucker Carlson clips, you know what I mean? For like, I put in my own age just to see, like, what are they showing, washed out millennials, what are they trying to get us on or whatever. And it's like, Jesus Christ, it's like all Tucker Carlson and like Candace Owens, and then questionably aged young women showing things that they probably shouldn't be doing. And it's very concerning that, whether or not he is paying for this, the infrastructure is rewarding that kind of thing, and that's its own problem,
Yeah. And the weird thing is, like, the platforms, at least like Meta for sure, they will say that they don't want this type of regurgitated, re-uploaded content. Like, they have rules supposedly that are supposed to cut down on someone posting clips, essentially, right? Like derivative, not really creative, unoriginal work, but yet they get, hundreds of thousands of views. So you really, we're in a weird place on social media where like the platforms need original new content, but can't quite cut the cord on the clip farms because people do watch it or it does travel. And that is like kind of a shitty place for all of us to be in, really.
Absolutely.
Totally. This is a backtrack, but I just didn't want to lose the thought because I thought it was so funny. We're talking about like who is paying for this and why. From your article, I think it was Perplexity that was like, the Joe Rogan has conversations about AI with people.
Yes.
And it's like Joe Rogan talking to Bradley Cooper and fucking Johnny Knoxville about AI. Who is that for? Who the fuck wants to hear Johnny? Listen, Good work. Good body of work, Johnny. Who cares what the fuck he has to say about AI with Joe Rogan? Who is that for? Why is Perplexity paying for this? That's insane.
I mean, the thing though is I have seen those Bradley Cooper clips in particular. I haven't seen the Johnny Knoxville ones, but they're fucking everywhere. I've seen it so many times come on my feed. They got me. They got you. It worked. It fucking worked.
Are you an Eagles fan now, dude?
Oh yeah. Oh, big fan. Oh yeah. I got merch all I'm wearing top to head to toe. But no, it's like it, you know, a lot of this isn't paid. That's an example of paid. Tucker Carlson is probably not an example of me doing like paid of this, but it's like, goddamn, the way that like the entire internet infrastructure just runs now is like, I just like, is everything an op? Is everything like fucking like constructed? Like it is, like all of it is.
Yeah.
Well, because even if like, here's the thing, even if somebody is not like explicitly paying for the clips, the person uploading it oftentimes is doing it to get paid as like a creator or whatever, right?
Yeah.
From the views that you get.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if it's not explicitly an advertisement, well, it's not explicitly an advertisement because they're not disclosing that, but you know what I mean? They're doing it with the hopes that is going to get them enough views to get paid by the platforms themselves. Now, you know, Meta can hand-wring all they want about derivative content because they don't want to pay creators for it. But all they really care about, and we know this from lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, all that Mark Zuckerberg cares about is how much time you spend on the app. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I just
and when the time spent
know.
is high, like Meta doesn't care. None of these platforms care if if the time spent on the app is consuming good, original, high quality content or garbage, right? Like that's not really a distinction I think that they would ever make. And the weird thing about like the garbage online is that it feels so circular, where you get fed content, you watch it, someone gets paid for it, but along the way, you're not sure if the content that was made was organic, if the views were real, if the algorithm was feeding it to you, you know, for what reason, right? Like there's just like zero transparency through the whole thing. And that's the type of stuff that actual creatives have to fight through to get attention. And that is like the really tough thing, where every 500 Joe Rogan talking about AI clips is crowding out someone else's like actual work. Totally. And that sucks.
Well, almost explicitly too, it's by design, because when you look at like the architecture of how these happen, a lot of times you'll see like the hashtags and the descriptions it'll be like of a current event that's happening now, even sometimes, or like a trending topic that is drowning out an original creator, like you had said, or like potentially, breaking news, or a hantavirus maybe, or something like a real public health issue. You know what I mean? And then it just happens to be, Bradley Cooper talking about AI for some reason, or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? But they do that with hashtags and descriptions to kind of like gamify the SEO or whatever. I've noticed that's a thing.
Yeah. It's a lot of just filling, people talk about like AI slop, which is certainly a thing, but I've long been on the train of we humans were doing a fine job making slop even before AI. And weirdly, like a lot of the architecture of the social web and the way that algorithms work have incentivized humans to act like slop machines and to act like bots. Like the behavior patterns are actually what researchers would look for when they were looking for like bot activity. So like a swarm of accounts posting about one topic, having never posted about it before, and then after a few days, never posted about it again, right? Like that is literally just the way that TikTok gossip pages work now.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, Mia. I was just talking to June about this. The other episode that we're doing with Ken Clip about UAPs and the demons and stuff. A big part of the show is strictly bot analysis for things like this. I no longer can really tell, like when I'm going through, because like the various ways that you try to identify bot networks that we don't need to get into the weeds on right now, but like when it's like, oh, they're not aliens, they're demons, it's like I can no longer tell between like your Peepaw, MAGA, Grammy, whatever, and like what wouldn't 2 years ago would have been obviously a bot, you know what I mean? Of going through like who they reply to with the frequency and who they follow and all that stuff. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's so blended now. It's getting a lot harder to make those determinations.
Especially because there's so many paid interests on all social media at this point too. Like I miss the days, Caleb. Do you remember when we did the episode about fucking chemtrails? It was the chemtrails episode, and we watched old videos on YouTube from like 2009 of people like spraying bottles into the air to be like, this will stop the chemtrails, this is gonna stop it, my personal concoction, this will get it. It's like no one is like that kind of crank anymore. Like no one is like an actual real crank. Everyone's paid to be a crank now, and it's sort of, we lost the true cranks. It's kind of a shame.
They're out there. They're just hard. This is so hard to find. I was like, it was the like vinegar mix, the spread and disparate the clouds. Do you remember that was such a funny episode too? Because I emailed the press office for the FAA and they got back to me like, well, this doesn't work. And I was like, I'm sorry to waste your time, but I have to ask about this video. Have you seen it? You know, simpler times.
Yeah, but that's sort of the thing, is it's sort of like the race to the bottom of like acting like a human, where it's like people are sort of like, I think Clavicular is just like the best example of this, where is like he is sort of like gamifying his entire life, sort of in like a, I don't want to say it like degenerate, but it's like he is sort of like harming himself for content. He is sort of like doing some like weird scripted content where it's like, oh my god, did he actually overdose? Is he actually going to die? And like we've seen examples of streamers actually die in the last like year and a half. And it's like the way that there's like this race to the bottom of shock content that actually harms people is like really odd.
It's dark and weird and like bad. I don't know. I'm kind of two minds, sort of like how places with real like media judgment and like resources and sway, such as The Verge maybe, or other mainstream publications, like how we treat this type of content. Because on one hand, it's when something is big, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of our job to cover it. On the other hand, if you were to say like, hey, there's a guy on Twitch pretending, I'm not saying Clavicular pretended to overdose, but like there's a guy, like let's say there's like a guy on Twitch with like 5 viewers who was overdosing or something, like we wouldn't write about that, you know what I mean? And so it's just this weird, the incentive structure is really off. And I think it is, you know, when the metric is simply like, can you cut through algorithms? It's very hard to like find a good balance. And like, you know, audiences also do watch stuff like that we would maybe prefer them not to, or like that I wouldn't watch. And what do you do about that? Like, it's really hard.
Yeah. Like the balancing act of like, am I exposing this thing by covering it? You know what I mean? That's I've said it till I'm blue in the face on this show already. So I'm sorry guys, but it's the zombification thing of Ashil and Bembe. Like you zombify the thing that you seek to kill and bring it, reanimate it or whatever by talking about it. And it's a real concern, especially I think that we're seeing now that structurally a lot of these guys have built very lucrative careers on making content that outrages people, and Clavicular certainly seems to be one of them.
Yeah, I just don't know what Clavicular's next move is. That's the other part that I'm like, okay, you've harnessed a clip farm of teenagers making videos of you, but like, is that the game plan forever? You know, like it feels really, it feels like we've hit a bottom in a way that makes me bummed and uncomfortable.
He'll be in the he'll be in the next GOP administration. Like he'll be taking a CPAC. I was actually speaking of that, I was going to ask you the Florida politician that you were talking about. Is this the guy, the super anti-Semitic guy that wants to impose the 50% on SIM tax? Is that who you were talking about earlier? I can't remember his name.
I don't think this. No,
you're thinking of James Fishback.
Yes,
being the guy, but I don't think he's the guy.
This is. So the clipping politician, the politician harnessing clippers, his name is Michael Carbonara.
Oh, yep.
He is running, he's running in Florida. It seems like he just got an endorsement from the Huckabee family PAC, So I don't really
Jesus
know how real
Christ.
of a candidate he is, but I did find a ton of clips on TikTok that were clearly from this clipping campaign. And the clips of him, they were like, I couldn't even tell if they were real podcast episodes, but they were edited to look like he was on a podcast saying crazy stuff. And so again, like, if we're talking about nothing is fake online, like I was like, I can't even tell if he was really on this podcast. Like I really
That's
couldn't.
so crazy.
Very
Like
strange.
ads now, or like they're trying to give people like authority by like making them look like they're talking on a podcast. That's so crazy.
I don't know if you guys saw this shit, but like a month ago or so, there was like this Logan Paul clip where he was like supposedly confronted Tom Brady. They were like on a podcast at some event.
Yeah.
And people were like quote tweeting it and reacting to it. It got a ton of views. I was like, okay, I have to watch this. It passed my feed like so many times. I watched it and I was like, is everyone insane? This is so obviously scripted. These two are not actually beefing. This is like an advertisement for like some Saudi Arabia event, because like halfway through the clip, they're like, yeah, we're going to like prove ourselves out in Saudi Arabia. We're going to do this event, which you can watch here or whatever. It's like, this is
Weird.
obviously fake and paid. It's like, I don't know. I guess maybe the average person is not like super trained to like catch things like that. I am like very neurotically, whenever I watch anything that is not like within my approved world of like these people are not going to lie to me, like I'm always like, okay, when is the paid ad going to distill itself into this content? Like when is this like weird subtle thing going to appear? And like I don't know, people I think most people just don't really catch that yet.
Yeah, and the content is getting harder and harder to detect, I think. And so like that's why it's felt really impossible to tell what is actually popular for like 6 years at this point. But it's only getting harder because now like the viral clips that you see, some of them might be paid, some of the views might be fake. The setups, right? They're getting like more and more elaborate and kind of deep. But that's so funny that you mentioned the Tom Brady clip, because I saw that and I didn't even clock that it was a setup. I need to go back and watch it after we record.
Yeah, if you now watch that again with that in mind, it'll blow your mind. Well, maybe not blow your mind, but you'll be like, oh fuck, of course. Like this is because like the way they're talking to each other too, it's like they're not mad. Like there's not like beef here. This is like some weird editorializing for this like weird fake podcast they're doing. You know, like I didn't watch the full clip. I only watched the clip. I didn't watch the full thing. So like that, I just like was having that experience so many times myself that I was like, I should probably write about what happens when we just endlessly chop up the work that we make into a million different pieces and nobody watches a full thing. And that's, I mean, a perfect example, I guess, because it's everywhere. It's in like so many people's like social media strategy. If they're like some sort of any level of big influencer.
Yeah. We won't do it to you tonight, Mia, but I'm like half a mind to like just out of protest make every episode of this show like 2 hours, 3 hours, because I'm so done with this.
I think, Caleb, you know what we should really do is we should do episodes in 30-second increments. We should put them out as only clips.
Listen,
Well, the platform that we're using now offers that service, by the way.
It does. Everything's incentivized for that now. Yeah, that's true.
You can like
Feel
link it
free
to
to
your
clip it.
socials and it'll just like with no human editorialization, it'll just be like, yeah, sure, we'll just, you know, post these out there. And I'm like, no, fuck, that's really bad.
Yeah, everything's clips. It's sort of like a weird new pivot to video where it's like it didn't work the first time, but now like I don't know what changed it. Maybe it's like algorithms are more finely tuned or something. Like that might be what it is.
I'm just
like,
curious, like, what does the Israeli spy firm, what does Black Cube think is clippable from this show? What does Black Cube think that I'm funny about or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting to see what it. I might actually look at that for this just to see what it suggests that we clip for some of our old episodes.
I would be
Maybe.
fascinated. Yeah, I would love to know.
We got to get the fuck off Riverside, man. We got to stop you. I'll name it. We got to get off this.
Yeah, we should. We absolutely should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mia, I really love the article and your work. Was there anything that from this article that you wanted to cover but maybe didn't get to in time for your deadline or anything like that? Anything you want to leave with our audience or your readers or anything that you didn't get a chance to?
That's a good question. I guess like one element that kind of became a post publication, like not scramble, but so the Joe Rogan clips that we mentioned, we had a really long, extensive back and forth with Perplexity about the story after publication. I, obviously reached out to them for comment when I was working on it. And then at first they said, we have no idea about this clipping campaign. Like this, this is an unauthorized use of our logo and our name. And I was like, oh, okay. But long story short, nobody wanted to fess up to paying for the Perplexity clips of Joe Rogan on the internet. And there were like indications that thousands of dollars had been paid to promote these clips. But nobody, not the clipping service, not the third party like marketing firm in the middle, not Perplexity itself, nobody wanted to admit that they hired the clippers. And so I would just say like, I was very much getting sort of the, stacking dolls feeling with like all of these companies and subcontractors and third parties that jump in. Like the clipping industry is everywhere. And also I'm like, does anyone run a real business here? Like, can anyone just tell me what is going on? So that's another weird part of it is these clips that you see that get millions of views. Who knows who's running them? Who knows who's like making sure everything is above board? It was a very strange kind of like wild goose chase that I encountered after the story went up and that I would love to dig into more. So if anyone knows anything about it, email me at mia@theverge.com. Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to plug for us, Mia, while we've got you?
I don't think so. I'm on TikTok, Boo, and Instagram and Blue Sky, and you can read my work at The Verge. If you ever need like a gift link, we have a paywall, but if you ever want a gift link to one of my stories, seriously, just hit me up and I will send you one. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Before we head off, you mentioned before that like do you have an idea at all of what Clavicular might be doing next or pivot to? Do you have any like just guesses at all?
That's a great question. I feel like even right now though, it's kind of like he's kind of fallen off in the last couple weeks. Yeah,
it does feel like that.
I mean, you know what? Andy Warhol would have loved Clavicular. R.I.P. He would have loved Clavicular.
He was born too early.
Yeah, born too early. So he would have been at the factory, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Andy Warhol's factory. I don't know. I could see him doing like more Kick related stuff. I feel like he's like one of the bigger names now on that platform. Probably keep doing the gambling stuff. He often streams just gambling. But yeah, otherwise, like really the move often for people who are canceled or semi-canceled or, in the canceled men category is like just do the right wing pivot. And there are always people who want to give you money. So that's probably the easiest thing. I don't really know that he's going to have like an Alex Earl type come up that's like legitimate in some way. Because I feel like it's just there's too much baggage with his persona that he's created that it worked for a minute. And who knows, maybe there will be a second wind, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel like
I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I feel like really the only route for people like that is to like continue to amp up what you do to like keep getting that attention. But I think he has mostly hit that peak already at this point in terms of like mass society like awareness of himself. But so I feel like you just sort of have to like maintain where he's at or like eventually pivot to I feel like it's all going to come down to in a couple of years pivoting to politics in like a post-Trump world where I feel like, Jake Paul went to that rally with Donald Trump a couple of months ago where Trump was like, this guy, we would love to see him as a politician. And it's like, do we? Like, actually, is that like what the path for these people is going to have to become? Is that they're going to like do like boxing and then like become politicians and like we're just cursed for this like weird new ecosystem of like creating odd canceled men who become politicians? I guess maybe that's the path, but I feel like we'll find out like post Trump dying or whatever more like what that'll look like.
By the way, I looked up like recent clavicular clips. I actually saw this one a few days ago, but one is, this is a caption to the video: clavicular starts smiling and can't look away after seeing two guys kissing.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that one. He did. And then, yeah, people are like always call him gay, which is like, I don't think he's gay. Like, I don't know. That's some weird wish casting or whatever. I don't know what's going on there.
He seems to also be just like streaming with maybe other content creators. And I don't know if this woman is like an OnlyFans creator, something like that. But yeah, I guess the move is like collab with other people in similar spaces, right? To like reach new audiences. I don't know. It seems hard.
Streaming is a
line, dude.
Streaming is a weird world, and I feel like I understand it, and someone new comes along, and then it's just more people standing or sitting around for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we got to round all these guys up and then do the Conor O'Malley's 100 Men podcast with them. That would solve everything.
Yeah. God, that was one of the funniest fucking bits in that whole Irish Zionism video. But that also, like, the concept of a 100-man podcast is just...
They're all just eating and agreeing with each other.
Standing around like, yeah. It's so fucking funny.
So good.
I feel
like we see it. Let's do it.
Yeah, the logical endpoint of like Joe Rogan style podcasting is just get like a lot of men in one room together.
I hope they invite me. That would be my dream. That'd be my Super Bowl. Just to be the dumbest guy in that room.
Eating some Doritos or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I would be eating cereal for sure.
Straight
That's
out of the box.
the ultimate dumb man treat.
Gotta eat Cheerios. Make sure it's heart healthy.
Yeah. Mia, thank you so much for spending an hour with us. We will link your article in the show notes, and if you've got a link, sure, we'll link your socials and everything as well.
Amazing.
I look forward to seeing what you write next.
Thank you so much. This was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
the computer.